Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to this Yashaswini and Idol Series 71. Yashaswini and Idol Series is organized by Women's and Young Members Committee for the Women CA by the Women CA. It is an extension of Sky High Symposium program, which is completed its 100th episode. It is an extension, one of the initiative of the committee to not only disseminate information to women members on technical and non-technical topics, but to empower and inspire them to come at forefront and realize their verbal communication skills. Welcome you all. So, our today's first speaker is Ms. Digna Akteji. She is a woman CA with 16 plus years of experience. She has experience in GST, direct taxation, international taxation, transfer pricing. She is with many reputed organization, KPMG, PwC, Accenture, an idea. She has contributed to high stakes tech strategy and landmark litigations while contributing to mentoring teams and thoughtful leadership programs by publications and speaking engagement. I once again welcome Akhuji. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dimple, for the sweet introduction of mine. I'm Deepna Apte, and I am privileged today to be part of Yashashwini team and to conduct a session on the recent live and burning topic in income tax. We all know that Income Tax Act 2025 have been laid down and introduced, and I have nominated myself over here to you take you all through income tax new income tax provisions on TDS, specifically tax reduction and collection at source. So I'll quickly share the slide decks, which will help us all to run and be with me on what we are discussing. Technical team, is it the deck is visible, loaded? Okay, I'll just quickly start. I have been part of various organizations, both on consulting and industry side, and working on income tax, working into income tax and specifically tax domain since last more than 15 years now. And it's my privilege to be part of the women group over here and to lead and take you all through on the recent topic of TDS provisions. So I've just laid down few dissections. And I'll quickly start the same without taking much ado. Okay. So first, I have laid down doppelganger, as we all know that how the new old provisions are replaced by the new provisions of Income Tax Act. We all know that 2025 Act will be soon applicable and live. We all know that the first bill was laid down for perusal, and there were a lot of changes recommended across industry wide to the finance ministry, and after that, the entire bill was replaced with a new draft, and new draft is accepted by Lok Sabha now. So this bill is turning into an act, and as per the new act, I've tried to disseminate the sections against our old provisions of TDS. What are the new provisions laid down? So my first slide captures the section. We all know that entire collection and recovery of tax, that is TDS provisions and TCS provisions, were coming under chapter 17 in old income tax law, Income Tax Act 1961. In the new income tax law, that is Income Tax Act 2025, they will be part of chapter 11, that is collections and recovery of tax. The chapter name remains same. Old sections were starting from section 190 and were running up to 206. 206 all across, capturing the applicability of TDS, to whom it will be applied. Then there was TDS on salary. Then there were other than non-salary TDS payments on other payments, what withholding tax should apply, which was getting covered under section 193 to 196D. And non-deduction cases were taken care under 197A. Section 197 was capturing lower withholding certificates, as we all know as LDC, no withholding or low deduction certificates. 198 used to capture tax deducted on income received, that is TCS. 199, sorry, tax deducted on income received. 195 in specific was on the non-resident payments. 199 was who will be eligible to take credit of taxes. Section 200 was duty of person deducting tax. What are his duties? 200 and 200A used to lay down the provisions where TDS returns filed were getting processed and how those intimations have to be taken care of. 201 was TDS assessment, TDS proceedings, where there was an assessing officer who would carry out a scrutiny audit on the expenses or payments made, whether direct or whether to a resident or a non-resident. And then there used to be a demand basis, any defaults which are carried out, which are been happening, or any views which have been taken which the officer do not coincide with. So 201 basically are the TDS proceedings where first level of assessment was carried out on the TDS payments on the expenses. Are there any messages? Sorry. Okay, I'll continue. No issues. 202 deduction, only one mode of recovery. Then the next slide was 203 certificate of tax deducted. Section 397 4 is replicating that. 203A was about tax account number, that is the TAN number, which we know as a short form. Section 204, meaning of person responsible for paying. 205 bar against direct demand on assessee. 206% deducting tax to furnish prescribed returns. 206A, we know, furnishing of statement in respect of any payment of any income to residents without deduction of taxes. 206 double A, we all know, reckoningly introduced where requirement of PAN was laid down as a compulsory part for deduction of taxes. Otherwise, the deduction was at a higher rate. 206 AB and 206 CCA was for the non-filers of tax return, where we need to check whether the payee has filed return or not. Otherwise, there will be higher amount of tax to be deducted on those payments. 206C to 206 double C TCS provisions and definitions in respect of respective provisions. Now, I'll go through the new provisions. New provisions start from section 390 and goes up to section 402. Salient features is that salary remains same. TDS on salary vis-a-vis in the old law as well as in the new law, both gets replicated in the same manner, and there are hardly any changes to look into. While from section 193 onwards, what has happened is the entire TDS provisions has been divided into four different tables. Everything is governed under majorly under between section 393, all the TDS sections. There are no separate sections like 193, 194, 195, 194J, 194C, 194H. We don't have separate sections. Everything is under one single section, that is section 393. Salary is under 392. Under 393, they have divided into four different tables. What are those tables and what are the categories that we'll look into in the subsequent slide. Then there is section 393, which is governing no deduction in certain cases. So everything comes under one radar, that is section 393, tabulated in the different tables like resident, non-resident payments, and on which the no taxes to no TDS to be applicable. Everything is tabulated. Everything is governed under section 393. So that's easy to remember now instead of the classified sections coming across in old law as compared to the new one. LDC was governed by section 197, which is now governed by 395(1). So on and so forth. 396 for the TDA tax deducted on income received. 390 subsection 5 and 6 for credit 397 defining duty of the person deducting taxes. 399 processes the return. 398 is the TDS proceedings as against 201. So that will be TDS proceeding section. 390 subsection 4 deduction is the only one mode of recovery. 397 subsection 4 is certificate to be issued in case of tax reduction. TAN allotment is again 397. Meaning of person responsible for paying covered under 402. Now, just to mention here is section 402 is basically a definition section. So, compared to Income Tax Act 1961, the new Income Tax Act 2025, what it is doing, it is laying down all the definitions for a given chapter as a last section of that chapter. So, there is first preliminary and primary section 2 which puts across all the definitions which are generally applicable at various places, various provisions in the entire income tax law, and those which cannot be covered under section 2 but is only coming across qua a particular chapter or particular provisions that like TDS or business income or any other provision, then those specific definitions, unlike putting it across in each of the sections, they have brought it into a one single section at the end of the chapter. So in TDS 402 section is a section where all the definitions which are relevant for TDS provisions have been compiled together. So this is the difference, one of the major difference between laying down the sections under the old law and the new law. The new law has compiled all the definitions in one go, and then whenever you are referring to any TDS provisions under section 393 and you want to understand interpretation of any of the term, you need to go back to section 2. If section 2 is not having any definitions, then you need to come back to section 402, and that's how it is structured. So first you will lock the door of section 2, check if the definition is there. If any other section is referred in 393, so for example fees for technical services similar to old provision goes to section 97p. So you go to those sections. If not, there are no references, if there is nothing defined in section 2, then you come and check in section 402 also to check whether there is a definition plotted. So e-commerce, for example, coming for TDS on e-commerce payments is defined under 402 section itself. So in the current provision, those definition forms part of section 194O, but in the new chapter, it comes at a fag end of the entire chapter and it is under 402. It is part of all other definitions along with. So that's how the layout of all the provisions and chapters have been done. Why I'm specifically capturing this, because all of us have that one thing in mind, that what if the new law is applicable now, how do we remember sections? Like when in the tax field, when we are working across and discussing, okay, we quickly say section 194J deduct 10%, section 195 this is non-resident payment, 201 ka demand is open, so let's see that. So these jargons and these sections are a usual part of our life, and we keep on referring them so lucidly that they have been like part of our all discussions. So now it becomes a little difficult that you have to switch from section 201 to 398. So how do you keep on remembering this chart for few months or maybe a couple of years? We keep on in our on our radar, and we get acquainted to the new layout which is put across. So 192, it is now 392. When it comes to all other TDS, it is 393. Respective, it is 194J, 194O, 194H. Everything comes under section 393. LDC comes under 395 against 197. So these are the those who are working under tax profile would relate that we generally use the section numbers when we are talking to officers, when we are internally discussing about any work matters on taxation. It is very general and very common to use this section. So people, moment you put across the section number, the person understands that okay, which provision you are talking about. So now to lead to those expertise, we will have to substitute all those sections with the new section numbers and the new chapter, which is laid down under Income Tax Act 2025. All with me, and I'll move to the core provisions discussion ahead. Any doubts until now, or I'll take doubts at the end of the session. Maybe that will be helpful for all of us. So I have first captured an overview. TDS and TCS provisions have been significantly simplified, reducing the number of sections from 69 to 13. So earlier there were 69 sections, which we gone through just now. That from section 190 it is running to 206. So there are various sections involved. Now it is 13 sections only. Comprehensively overhaul the structure with an aim to streamline these provisions by consolidating them into a single section, except for TDS on salary. So earlier there were bifurcation of sections like 194H, 194J is separate, 194I is separate, 196 is separate, 195 is separate. We don't have these separate sections anymore. Everything comes under section 393 when it comes to TDS payments on any expenses and figuring out the rate. And only salary is kept separate, which is under section 392, and rest all TDS payments are governed by section 393. Now, how they are structured is the next question. For each category, TDS provisions are consolidated into a single table for ease of identification of applicable rates, thresholds, payee, and the nature of payment on which TDS will get attracted. So, for each of the category, what they have done is there is a single table they have captured. Now, what are those categories they have captured below in the table? Each category, they have compiled all the payments together and they have defined the threshold limits. They have defined which type of pay or payer will be covered under that particular type of payment, and what should be the threshold follow. Apart from this, if there are any conditions to be followed, those are given by way of a note below the table, like note 1, note 2, note 3. Those references are given in the table. You have to go back to the respective note and have a look at what that note is putting a condition on that particular payment. So that is how the entire provisions have been tabulated, basically, I would say. So unlike earlier, it was like a provision, then there is a proviso, then there is a subsection, then there is a another rider, then there is an exception, then there is exclusion. All those entire structure of section is done away with, or everything is tabulated, and in table they have given conditions to be figured out. So for example, if you want to say that there has to be threshold has to be calculated on a consolidated basis qua a transaction and not qua a payer or a payee, they have given it by way of a note 1, note 2, note 3, that what conditions are supposed to be applied in a given situation, in a given payment and a given transaction. So I would say that they have tried putting it ease to the entire layout of the Income Tax Act, which has been evolved in so many years after amendments by way of by way of so many finance bills coming every time. And we know that earlier also it is difficult to replace entire section or give a new format. So what has happened until now with the old sections is, whenever there is some clarification required, there is some change required, there is insertion of a subsection or a replacement of a particular part of a section, and that's how the section has gone ahead and become lengthier or longer, and the interpretation challenges have cropped up. Now, having said that, I'm not saying that these tables will not have interpretational challenges. They will certainly have, because the dynamic and complexity of the entire business and transactions are such across around the world that definitely there has to be some ambiguities which may crop up. There will be two views in certain situations which need to be mapped and figured out. But yeah, right now, if you compare plain vanilla how the layout was and how the new layout is, they have given a easy direction. Okay, this is the table and you follow the table, kind of. So with this, I'll take you through the categories. They have divided the categories, TDS categories, into four different parts. First is payment to residents, which also generally was covered from section 193 onwards till section 194. Then 195 came up for non-resident payments. So similarly, they have taken away all the payment to residents under one single table. The second is payment to non-residents. They have taken it under the second table where payment to non-residents have been captured, which covers interest payments, distributed income from business trusts and investment funds, other taxable income for non-residents, etc. No TDS requirement. The third part which they have put across is there wherever there is no TDS requirement, like something which is below threshold limit, something which is a pass-through income, or certain payments which are made to individuals or HUFs on which TDS is not applicable. Certain payments, there is a third category which is coming across along with no TDS requirement is no TDS deduction with declaration. So there are some payments where no TDS is required provided we get some declarations. And the last one is specific transactions like lottery winnings and other similar income where there are specific guidances available for the higher withholding taxes. So these are the categories broadly tabulated in the provisions, and we will have to now be user friendly or maybe friendly to read the tables and interpret them, and read them with the notes and riders coming below the table. So unlike the old times when a particular section has its own provisos and riders, and then you are trying to distinguish between where to fall, how to fall. Here you will have to condition your mind to go back to the notes below the table, the asterisk marks given aside any terminology or any conditions given in the table to be interpreted. While these conditions and these notes, which have been shortened, I would say, so that it becomes presentable and well tabulated, I foresee some challenges into the interpretation part, because when you try to shorten certain things, the explanation becomes narrower, and because of the narrow explanations in initial years, there might be different interpretations coming out for various conditions provided. So with this, we'll go ahead. Section wise analysis, we will start. Section 390 lays down the primary foundation. It lays down a similar foundation that deduction or collection of taxes in advance during the tax year, irrespective of assessment to be carried out in later years. So assessment may be carried out in later years, but whenever you are making a payment in a given month or in a given tax year, you have to start withholding tax in that year itself. It also lays down and gives power to board to lay down rules for granting credit to a person other than towards whom the taxes are deducted and paid, as well as to determine the year of credit. Now, here only the powers are given to the board, that is CBDT, and we will have to await for the conditions, or we will have to await for the provisions which may come up by way of a notification. Can we apply any old notifications or precedents available on this matter? Is an overall question for entire new income tax act. However, I believe and trust that we can certainly draw corollaries and pinpoint the interpretations have been made under section 199 until now. So there are situations where the merger happens, there are amalgamations, or there are situations of clubbing of income. There are situations where income, even if received by person A, is offered to tax by person B. In such situations, how the credit has to be granted to the person who has offered to tax, even though that form 26 as of the taxpayer is not reflecting that income or TDS in his or its own name. In such situations, board will have to lay down the provisions and rules, and those rules will have to be followed. Section 391 lays down direct payment rule, continues and akin to section 191, which is available even right now in the section. There is no change. Section 392 governs salary income. As I told you, there are no changes. It is similar to old provisions. Compiled under one shelf, all the conditions have been put across together. But more or less, the provisions are same, and hence I have not captured it separately in detail. I'll move ahead. The next is section 393, subsection 1. So before we go to the tabulated part and we try to learn that how the payments have been categorized, we will need to define what is the applicability of these tables and how they are read. I'll just take you through the exact wordings from the section itself, where any income or sum of nature specified in column B of table below is credited or paid or distributed by the person specified in column C during the tax year to a resident. The person responsible for paying shall deduct income tax on the entire amount of such income or sum where the amount or aggregate of amount exceeds the threshold limit specified in column D. So each of the columns are defining everything. Until now, we understood that column B is putting across a sum of nature of the income, the type of the transaction in the table. It is credited or paid or distributed by a person specified in column C. So, who is the payer of such payments, such expenses, to a resident. So, first table applies to a resident. The person responsible for paying shall deduct income tax. So, the person in column C will be responsible to deduct income tax on the entire amount of such income or sum where the amount or aggregate of amounts exceed the threshold which is defined in column D at the rate specified in column D. So rate and threshold both are defined in column D. I'll slowly go to the table so you'll have a better picture of this. At the time of credit of such income or the sum to the account of the payee, or at the time of payment in cash or by way of a check or a draft or any other mode, whichever is earlier. So this condition remains same, similar, same ditto to our old provision, which says that okay, TDS is to be made either at the time of credit or payment, whichever is earlier. Okay, so there is no change in the timing of TDS to be made, and subject to provisions of subsection 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9, which will later check. Refer table at the end for payments to resident. So we have to refer a table for the payments to resident. Before I go to table, I have taken up a leap and just put across a definition of specified person, because moment you go to table, various places, column C where it talks about a person to whom the TDS provisions apply, in the sense who is supposed to deduct tax, basically is defined as specified person, and specified person come across as any person not being an individual or HUF. So anyone who is not an individual or HUF means anyone who is a partnership firm, LLP, company, or AOP, or a BOI, or any similar person other than individual or HUF is supposed to withhold tax irrespective of any thresholds or limits or turnovers. Or an individual or HUF whose total sales or gross receipts or turnover from business or profession carried on by him exceed 1 crore rupees in the business, or 50 lakh rupees in the case of profession. So these are the thresholds for individuals or HUF. If you cross these thresholds of total sale or gross receipts, then you are supposed to start withholding taxes on all your payments. There are certain exceptions which we will see in the table, specifically on the rent payments to highlight. It is kept same and similar to the current provisions. So we will quickly go through the table. This is how the table looks like. What I have done is, for ease of reference, I have broken column D into two parts: D which defines rates and D which defines thresholds. But if you go to the bare act, which is available on the website also, and the bill also, if you go through the bare act and you look at the table, these two columns are merged. D both D rates and D thresholds are basically merged. So that's how the layout is. I mean, it is serial number, nature of income, payer rates, thresholds, and remarks. I'll quickly start going through each of the payments. What I have done is, in this session, I am focusing on the first table, which are payments to residents, because we have exhaustive list to be discussed, and considering the time in hand, I felt we will not be able to justify all the tables across. So maybe if I've been given opportunity in upcoming sessions, I will be happily taking payments to non-residents, payments on which no TDS is applicable. That those are separate 3-4 tables more that we can go through separately. So today I'm focusing on payments to residents. Payments to residents starts with first serial number, that is commission payment. Now, how do we read this table? As far as I have tried learning and reading it, is section 393 subsection 1, first table, serial number 1. Nature of income under B is commission. So this is how maybe we will have to start referring to it. So the first is commission. Commission is broken into two parts. Commission which comes from the insurance business, soliciting and running of an insurance business. If you receive any commission income from that, if you are paying any commission towards any insurance payment, then any person is supposed to withhold tax. and the threshold is 20,000. So if you're paying commission to someone which is exceeding 20,000, you be individual, HUF, company, LLP, or anything, if you're paying something more than 20,000 towards a insurance commission, you are supposed to withhold tax. Now, what should be the rate? Rate should be rates in force. So if you're making a payment to an individual, you will go through the slab rates. If you are making payment to a company or a partnership firm, 30%, 25%, depending on the applicability and the type of the entity to whom which you're paying. So the rates in force will have to be taken care of. That is the first part, that is commission income, which is from the insurance business. I'll move to the next part. The table defines exactly the insurance business as soliciting and just quickly tell you. It mentions any income by way of a remuneration reward, whether by way of a commission or otherwise, for soliciting or procuring insurance business, including business relating to continuance, renewal, or revival of insurance policies. So the care has been taken that you need not argue that it's not for procuring business or soliciting business. It is not only restricted to these both things, but once if you have procured a business and next year there is a renewal or a revival of a policy and you are receiving commission for that, that will also get covered under this payments. So that clarity has been given in the table itself. Again, I would say the tables are bringing out some things in short. We'll see the interpretations wherever the live transactions come across and applicabilities are tested industry wide across. The second one is commission other than insurance. The rate has been kept same, it is 2%. The payer has been identified as a specified person, so individual and HUF are kept out of it who are not fulfilling the thresholds. Withholding tax has to be 2%, and threshold is 20,000. If paid by any individual or HUF other than covered in column C here, threshold is INR 50 lakhs and exceeding which 2% of TD has to be made by such individual or HUF. Now, this is a condition given. This is a condition given that if there are any payments which are exceeding 50 lakh as a amount of commission, even if individual or HUF are making the payment, then you are supposed to withhold tax even if you are not a specified person. So this is a change which we all will have to be mindful, that if there is an individual or HUF who are not covered under the gross turnover limits specified under 402 subsection 37, still they will have to start withholding tax at the rate of 2%. Now, I think this has been done for high end deals which might be happening for properties alike, and where the commission levels are higher and the TDS needs to be tapped on such commission payments. So this is on commission. I'll move to the second point. Second one is again this condition of 50 lakh you may not find in the table, but if you keep interpreting ahead, you will get it along in the notes format. The next is rent. Person other than specified person, the rate applicable is 2%, and the threshold is 50,000 for a month or part thereof. Now, over here, typically the rent payments which individuals make for their rental accommodations are getting captured. So the threshold is 50,000. This section is only applicable to individual or HUFs to which they are below the gross turnover limits mentioned in 402 section, which we discussed earlier, and they have to fulfill the 2% withholding tax. So this is how it has been mapped. The notes, the rates in force comes in section 2 subsection 90, akin to the old law. It has been defined in a similar manner. It also points out to table which are laid down for the TDS. I've captured briefly the definition over here. In serial number 21, the tax shall be deducted on such income at the time of credit of rent to the account of pay or payment thereof in cash or by way of a check or any other mode, whichever is earlier, for the last month of the tax year or the last month of the tenancy. So it is trying to say that you can make the tax deduction for the last month of the tax year or last month of the tenancy. Okay. So you have to check the threshold and fulfill it. I'll move ahead. Next is again rent, but rent paid by specified person to whom the either they are not individual or HUF, or to whom individual HUF the threshold limits of gross turnover are exceeding. The rates are 2%, again, same to our current law. 2% in case of use of machinery or equipment, and 10% in case of land or building, or any factory or building or land appurtenant to build building, including factory building or furniture or fittings which are part of those land and building. Threshold is 50,000 for a month or part thereof. So there is a monthly threshold. If you're paying below 50,000 in a given month, no TDS. If you're exceeding 50,000 in a given month, there will be a TDS, and TDS is 2% and 10%. I'll move ahead. The third serial number is transfer of certain immovable property other than agricultural land. Any consideration for transfer of any immovable property other than agricultural land is the type of transaction. So there has to be an immovable property which is a non-green land, non-agricultural land basically, and you're paying consideration for that. Who should be the payer? Person other than the person who are required to deduct tax under serial number 33. So 33, if we see, it is for compulsory acquisition. So somebody who is not doing compulsory acquisition, all those people will fall under 3.1. So everybody who is making a payment for immovable property will withhold taxes. Apart from compulsory acquisitions, the rate applicable is 1% on the sum or stamp duty value of the property if more than 50 lakh, whichever is higher. So you have to first check whether the consideration is more than 50 lakh or a stamp duty value is more than 50 lakh, and then 1% will be applicable if on the value whichever is higher. So the threshold is 50 lakh. Threshold to be calculated for transferors or transferees taken together. Now this comes by way of a note 1 below the table under point number 3, which categorically brings out that if you have to calculate this threshold, you cannot calculate qua payee or qua payer. You have to calculate this threshold qua the value or consideration which is given for that one single property together. So there is no qua transfer or a qua transferee to be mapped for threshold calculation. You have to go qua property. Okay. The next one is second one is any consideration not being consideration in kind under the agreement referred to in section 6714, that is joint development agreement. I have not captured the definition here, but section 67 subsection 14 lays down JDA related provisions. Basically, any person who is making a payment for payment in a kind, so there is an exchange of property which is happening under joint development agreement, then you have to value, and on that value you have to withhold 10%. There is no threshold available for this particular aspect. Now here there would be a lot of questions which may arise, that okay, how do I value the on which the TDS payment has to be made, whether it should be the property which I'm giving up, whether I'm receiving. So certainly the property which the person is receiving, that has to be valued, and the TDA, because that will be the consideration for the old property which the giver of the property is receiving. So it should be the value of the new property on which the TDS will have to be made at the rate of 10%. Who will make? Any person who is paying that consideration. The joint development developer who will be giving that property to the recipient will have to take care of this withholding tax. So this is about the JDA part. Some being on account of compulsory acquisition under law, 10%, the threshold is 50 lakh. And that's about the property. We covered immovable property other than agricultural land. We covered rent. We covered commission. Moving forward, the fourth is income from capital market. I'll quickly take you through the thresholds laid down and the rates put across. Income from mutual funds. Now, income from mutual funds, there is again a condition. It says specified undertaking or specified company, and under Schedule 7 and table serial number 20 or 21. So you need to refer these provisions which define specified undertaking, specified company, and then come across for the mutual fund analysis, mutual fund units income on which the withholding tax will be 10%. Any person who is making a payment towards such income will have to withhold taxes, and the threshold is 10,000. Distributed income payable to unit holder. So any unit holder, if you're making payment towards the distributed income, any business trust who will be making that payment will be required to withhold tax at the rate of 10% on that entire distributed income. There is no threshold provided. Income towards units of investment fund. Any investment fund in section 224, 10%, and threshold is nil. Income in respect of securitization. Securitization trust as per section 221, that trust will have to make a withholding tax on that income, and the rate will be 10%. Now they have defined securitization trust in the main sections, and where the provisions of securitization have been laid down under section 221 and not under the TDS provisions. I'll move ahead. Interest income. Okay, this is another regular thing which we have it. Any income by way of interest on securities, any person who is making a payment towards such interest will have to withhold tax at the rates in force as per section 2 subsection 90. The threshold is 10,000. Any income by way of interest other than interest on securities, the payer has to be a banking company or cooperative society carrying on a business of banking, or a post office for a deposit made under a scheme notified by the central government, that is akin to section 196 currently, 193 currently. The rate is rates in force. The threshold limit has been provided 1 lakh in case of senior citizens and 50,000 in case of person other than senior citizens. If no core banking solutions are adopted by the payer, then threshold will be qua a branch. If they have applied core banking solutions, then it will be in totality, it will be computed, the thresholds will be computed. Any deficiency in earlier months can be recouped in the later months. Because once the threshold exceeds, then only you will start withholding. So it has to be a retrospective withholding then on the date when the threshold exceeds. Any income by way of interest other than interest on securities, any person other than above into rates in force and 10,000. Anything which is not captured above, then it will come under 3, and threshold is 10,000, and rates are rates in force. So this is on the interest. Do we have any specific questions until now? I would be happy to take before going ahead. No? Nothing? Okay. Then serial number 6, payment to contractors, fees for professional and technical services. So basically our favorite sections 194.6 and 194J, which we deal on a daily basis. Any sum for carrying out working, including carrying out work, which is as per 194.6. Here the work is defined under section 402. Basically, in pursuance of a contract between contractor and a designated person. A designated person covers a company, and designated person is also defined under section 400 2 subsection 11. I have already put across in my remarks. Payer is any designated person. Rates 1% if contractor is individual or HUF, and 2% in other cases. Though rates remain same, threshold more or less remains same. Threshold limit have to be taken together. 30,000 or aggregate of amount, and 1 lakh in case of aggregate of amounts. So 30,000 you have to check for qua transaction, and 1 lakh in terms of total amounts during the year. Any sum for carrying out any work, including supply of labor, for carrying out any work in pursuance of a contract. So this is little different. This is applicable in case when the payer is any person being an individual or HUF other than those covered above or below. So someone who is not a designated person or a specified person, but is making a payment of 50 lakh and above, will have to start withholding tax at the rate of 2%. So if your turnover is below the threshold limit and you are an individual or HUF, the below threshold limit of 402 section subsection 37, if your turnover is below 1 CR or 50 lakh depending on business or profession, you still will come under the radar of TDS withholding if the threshold of payment is exceeding 50 lakh rupees. All what are covered in this situation? All the three: any contractual payment, any fees for technical professional service, or any commission not being insurance commission or brokerage. So any of these payments, if any individual or HUF are making, this is again a new provision, so we should all be mindful of that from next year onwards. The rates would be 2%, and threshold will be 50 lakh. If there is a payment exceeding 50 lakh, then that's how it will be going ahead. Okay. The last one, any sum by way of a fees for professional service or technical service, or remuneration or fees for commission by whatever name called, other than those covered under salary, that is section 392, to a director of a company, or royalty or any sum referred to in subsection 20 in section 26 2h, that is a non-compete fee. So this is more or less replica for 194J. The threshold kept is 50,000, no aggregate, no single. 50,000 in totality is the threshold. What are the rates? 2% of such sum if it is FTS, that is fees for technical service. Royalty in nature of consideration for sale, distribution, or exhibition of cinematographic films, which is akin to the current provisions. Pay engaged only in business of operation of call center, akin to the current provisions. In all other cases, the withholding tax will be 10%. Okay, so it is more or less similar to 194J. Definition of fees for technical service and royalty flows from section 9. Section 9 subsection 6 is royalty. Section 9 section 7 is fees for technical service, similar to the old provisions. And definitions are also similar to old provisions. There are not major differences as such in the definition also. And remuneration or fees for commission to directors other than salary, royalty, which we discussed. If it is for cinematographic films, go back to 2%. If it is not anything else, computer software or use of copyright or any similar payments, 10%. Non-compete fee, again 10%. Operation of call centers specifically carved out considering the size of operations they have and maybe the profit margins they have, it is kept at 2%. So 194J more or less remains same. Threshold is 50,000, which is to be followed. I'll go ahead. The next one is section-wise analysis, which captures serial number 7, which is dividend. Dividend payment, including dividend on equity or preference shares, both. The payer will be a domestic company who is paying it. The withholding tax will be 10%, and such taxes will be withheld without any thresholds, and they have to be withheld before making any distribution or payment of dividend. Having said that, there are certain transactions of dividend on which no TDS will be applied are captured in some table 3 or 4. So that we will come in a later part while discussing. The next one is 8, other cases. Other cases are life insurance claim, including bonus. Any person, the rate is 2%, threshold is 10,000. Any sum for purchase of any goods, like 194Q, which we recently had introduced since couple of years. In that case, 0.1% if the sum exceeds 50 lakh rupees. The term buyer is defined under section 402, subsection 6, and it is akin to the current provisions. Total income of specified senior citizen after allowing deduction under chapter 7 and rebate under section 156. Specified banking company as a central government may by notification. Rates in force, thresholds nil, precedence over any other section as per note 5. Uh, the next one is serial number 8. Serial number 8, clause 4. Any benefit or perquisites, whether convertible into money or not, arising from business or exercise of profession of any resident. The payer has to be any specified person if they are making any payment of perquisite. This is similar to 194R, which we have currently. Thresholds are kept same 20,000. The rates applicable are 10% of value or aggregate of values of such benefit or perquisites. Remarks, any exchange in kind is also captured. So there was always a UN cry that where any kind payment in kind distribution to say dealers, distributors, when we do it in a gift or we give it to customer out of any schemes and any awards and rewards, whether that will also get captured. Yes, those will get captured. They are specifically clarified the same below the table under note 6. Person responsible for providing means the person providing such benefit or perquisite, or in case of a company, the company itself, including principal officer thereof. This is clarified in the table itself. Next is e-commerce payments, similar to section 194O provisions. Definition of e-commerce, e-commerce participant, and e-commerce operator all have been given under section 402, and they are more or less similar to the old provisions of 194I, 194O. The rate has been 0.1%, which has been recently reduced in the recent budgets. So that is continued, 0.1% on the gross amount. The payer will be e-commerce operator. Certain aspects which I wanted to highlight, deeming fiction in case of any direct payment continues. So if we know 194O provisions were capturing specifically deeming provisions, that if even if there is no payment made by e-commerce operator to e-commerce participant, and e-commerce participant is receiving money directly from the purchaser, So e-commerce operators bank account is not hit by any receipt or payment. Even in that situation, we were supposed to withhold taxes under 194.0. The same deeming fiction continues in the new provision also. Further, once this section applies, no other section to apply on the same gross amount except in case of hosting advertisements or providing any other services not connected to 5 above. So once there is a withholding tax made on these payments, there was an exception given under section 10 that royalty FTS TDS won't apply on those payments if there is like a clash between nature of transactions. So similar exception has been provided over here by way of a note, and precedent provision is there. Okay. Then we move to the next. Next is any sum by way of a consideration for transfer of virtual digital assets. Virtual digital assets, we already have similar section in old provisions. The rate prescribed is 1%. Any person is supposed to withhold tax. So crypto is also specifically covered in the definition of virtual digital asset. Virtual digital asset is defined in section 2 and not under section 402, because virtual digital asset has various provisions across income tax act and not only TDS provisions. So if you want to refer to the definition, you will have to go back to section 2 for virtual digital asset. And any person who is making payment towards transfer of such assets will supposed to make TDS of 1%. There is no threshold. Again, over here also it is clarified that any exchange in kind also there will be TDS supposed to be made good. So I'm hereby completing table 1 and perfectly on time. If we have any questions, I'll be happy to discuss. I hope I could do justice to the first table and transpire a lot of things which are coming across and make it user friendly for you all to go back and read the new Income Tax Act. That was my prerogative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful your knowledge sharing on the TDS provisions as per the new Income Tax Act 2025. We do have couple of questions which I'll read in front of you. So the first one is Section 193 of the Income Tax Act 1961 exempts insurance companies from TDS on interest on securities. Is this exemption available under Section 393 of the Income Tax Act 2025?
Similar exception should be there. We will discuss in subsequent parts where we go back and discuss the table which is laid down for TDS on which no income, no TDS is applied. So there is an exception provided for similar payments, and that we can come across in the table for no deduction at source. So that is, I think, table 3 in the sequence.
Okay. I hope that query is solved. The second one is rates in force means what? From where to take these rates?
Section 290 defines the rates in force. We are awaiting the schedules, which generally comes with the finance bill for a given year. What are the rates for different type of entities and payments? So there are schedule which come for individual slab rates. Then there are rates for company, LLP, BOI, AOP, and there are also schedules part 2 in the current act which lays down the TDS rates, tabulate the TDS rates. So we are awaiting that, and basis that section 290 will direct it to the finance bill laying down the rate. So every year whenever the finance bill is laid down, those schedules will get updated. So currently the rates in force, as I captured in one of the slides, it is defined in section 290, but it is not laying down what rate should be. That will obviously come in the subsequent year when finance bill is laid down in the parliament.
Right, ma'am. The next question is TDS on rent. Are individuals required to deduct tax on TDS on rent from landlord? Also, an individual above rupees 50,000 per month.
Yes, those individuals who are paying above 50,000 per month are supposed to withhold tax while making those payments. Even currently, there are those provisions where these withholding tax has to be made. I think threshold is per annum instead of per month. But yeah, it is applicable. So those which are not covered under specified person as per section 402, they will also have to make this TDS payments on rent. So there,
Right,
there
ma'am.
will there will be a specific form right now. Also, there is a specific form available which you fill, and
Right.
you don't have to take a tax deduction account number. TAN number is not to be taken off. You can do it from your permanent account number, that is PAN number, and you fill the form and the details of the recipient, and you make the payment and generate the certificate. So that is possible. TAN is not needed, but yeah, you have to make the payment on of the TDS.
Correct, ma'am. The next question is, please explain the remark column material cost separately calculated in serial number 61, payment for works.
Payment
This is
for
referred to some works.
194C. Okay,
Yeah,
just a minute. So there is a note given below. So old section 194cc, I'm also referring to old provisions so quickly. So
right.
section 393 table, first table where payment to residents have been put. Serial number 6 is payment to contractors, fees for professional and technical services. Below that there is a note provided that whenever there is a contractual payment made, if any sum is paid or credited for carrying out any work specified in section 402.47E, that is for material and work both, you are making a joint payment. In that case, what you can do is tax shall be deducted at source on the invoice value excluding the value of material if such value is specified separately in invoice, or on the whole invoice value if the value of material is not specified separately in the invoice. So things which were clarified as a part of circulars or clarifications later on is now forming part of my section itself.
Okay. And now the last question for this session, ma'am. For
Yeah.
deduction of tax on payment to contractors, are individuals expected to apply a TAN number and file TDS returns, or will these be PAN-based deductions?
See, more likely, I assume it should be PAN based for non specified people, a non specified person who are individual and HUFs, because there are hardly nominal transactions. Yes. There are hardly nominal transactions for such individuals and HUFs which we've come across. But we await the right direction whenever the finance bill comes up and the act becomes active to be followed. At that time, they should start laying down these formats and links. Currently, in current provisions, we are not supposed to take TAN. We are supposed to make payment through PAN, because even in the other provision where we are supposed to make TDS on contractual payment or commission or brokerage, the threshold is very high. The threshold is 50 lakh. So rent threshold is 50,000, but contractual payment or fees for professional service or brokerage threshold is 50 lakh. So these are few transactions or few category of individuals they want to target upon, and we will await the clarification on that. But most likely it should be PAN based. They will not create again another line of compliance for that.
Right, ma'am. And with this, we end the session with a last question.
Yeah.
Rate on tax TDS on lottery and prize money remains at 30%.
Uh, yeah, again, it comes under the subsequent table. It remains 30%. Again, they have put rates in force, so we will have to wait for finance bill to come. So if we go to for payments to any person, there is a third table in the row which lays down winnings from lottery, and it brings out rates in force. So we will have to wait for rates in force to come as per the finance bill.
Okay.
Hello, am I
Thank you
audible?
so much, ma'am. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Uh, So, with this, we come to an end of our first session, and I would like to give my heartfelt vote of thanks to our wonderful speaker, CA Deepna, ma'am, for appraising us on this wonderful topic and giving us the parallel, comparison of old act versus new act. And also, I would like to give my gratitude for to all the participants for taking time and joining this section and making it successful. Now I hand over this for the second introduction of the second speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I'll just take a leave. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, I welcome Miss Kinnari Cheda. She will be sharing her thoughts on mental wellness and awareness.
She is a homemaker and certified pranic healer and counselor. She has touched many lives by bringing balance, calm, and emotional healing. Her journey shows that mental health and mental well-being can be nurtured in everyday life through simple yet powerful practices. I now request ma'am to give her insights and thoughts on today's topic, wellness and awareness. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Priyanka, for such a sweet introduction. Thank you for having me here today. I hope I'm audible. I hope you all can see me. Can anybody confirm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, before we begin, I'd like to share a simple thought with you all. Isn't it that our bodies are designed in such a way that it often gives us signals when something goes off balance? We come to know within नहीं अभी कुछ होने वाला है, something like that. So our body is quite intelligent, and to know our body we have to get connected within us. So the body always signals us, not with words, but that signals comes with stress, fatigue, sleepless nights, and even sometimes illness. So we have to get connected with why things are happening, went wrong. So unless we just be not connected and just take pop up pills and just go with the flow would not help, and we will not have our health, so-called health. So in this high pressure world where we have our deadlines, we in this corporate world, we believe that stress is part of life. Yes, it's true that stress is part of life, but health is in our own hands, which I have seen and experienced through my healing journeys, and how emotional and mental health we ignore. And because we ignore that, physical health gets a toil. And with physical health comes our relationships and even our professional performances. So, in my practice as a pranic healer, I've seen cases where unresolved emotions like self doubt, unprocessed trauma, and even to be a perfectionist, sometimes we take so much into all this that we we suffer from, say, thyroid problem or PCOD or even diabetes. These are just not the mental conditions or medical conditions, but they are often body's way of saying it's time to pause and heal within. Today's session is not just about theory, but it's more about awareness. My goal here is to help you all how mental and emotional health deeply is connected to our physical vitality, and why prioritizing mental well being is not a luxury but a necessity, especially in demanding professions like y'all. I know in CA, I think you all do audits and you all are all I can say financial organizers, but we here also we need to organize our thoughts, our health. We have to audit unwanted negative thought patterns. We have to understand all that to have a good inner corporate world which can cooperate with each other. Let's take few minutes and learn, and perhaps take home one or two practices that make us, or that will make a real life differences to how we can experience a work life balance. Next. Can we share the PPT, please? The technical team, nurturing our inner sanctuary, a journey to holistic well being. Welcome to a conversation about the cornerstone of our existence, our health. Today, we embark on a journey inward, exploring the depths of mental and emotional well being and how cultivating a harmonizing inner life empowers us to thrive in every aspect of our life. I would like to start here with one example, or rather, a case study that I had, or rather, the cases that I had solved in my healing journey. A girl named Radhika. She was 20-year-old, 28-year-old, and she wanted to conceive. But she was unable to do so, and she visited a doctor, and doctor said some test, and she gave her pills and everything. But it did not work for her, and then she was diagnosed with PCOD. So she came to me, and then I tried and I understood her mindset, her thought patterns, wherein then I came to know that she had a lot of regrets in her life. She had no self love, and she had a self sabotaging nature where she was not loving her body enough. She was not finding herself beautiful. She had all those negative thought patterns which was against self love and not accepting the way she was, which resulted in. So, my point here is to tell you all that all physical problems are not physical in nature, but rather emotional and more mental. Next. So, yes, beyond physical, redefining health. Health is not only physical. Physical is the last version of what we actually call physical health. Physical is more first emotional in nature, then it goes mental, social, and last comes physical. So I would like here to address that when we want or when we have an approach for holistic health, how emotional health is the base, the foundation of holistic health. So, emotional health, the ability to understand, manage, and express our emotions effectively and constructively. So, in any life given situations, be it corporate, home, friends, relatives, so be it in this world, we have to know emotionally, we have to be healthy. We need to express ourselves where we have to. We can't have not we can't sabotage our emotions. Otherwise, with due time, it will take a toll and it will connect to mental health, low mental health, because we are emotionally not addressing what we need to address at the set time. So any emotional health being self-care, self-love, expressing ourselves, doing what we do, knowing why we do what we do. All these things are very important. Basically, knowing what we need to do at time and why we do. We can't ignore the priorities in life. We can't ignore or escape certain things in life. And of course, we being a math students, CA people, you all have to know, like we all have to know what is the statistics of life, what is the how to prioritize. So in emotional health, that is the base of physical health. Then goes mental. If you are emotionally healthy and you know why you do things, what do you think, why you Okay, madam. Thank you. Then we go to mental health, our cognitive and emotional well being, how we think, feel, and process the world around us. This respects to our own thinking, why we think the way we think. Do we have often reasons or we just go with the flow? Do we often question ourselves why we think the way we think or why we eat the way we eat and why we do things that we do? We have to have questions and answers to all this. Then comes social health. The quality of our own relationship with others is so important only, but the quality of our relationship with ourselves is in priority. You have to know who is Kinnari Cheda. What are her likes, her dislikes, why she likes the things she likes and why she doesn't like. So we know in this corporate world, we know everything what's going around across the countries, but do we know what's cooking up inside our own mind? What's the world inside us? Do we? So we have to be. My point here is that are we aware of what's going around within our body and mind, which is so important. As we know, ultimate wealth is health. Health is wealth. True health is a symphony of these interconnectedness dimensions. Neglecting one impacts the harmony of whole. Next slide, please. So here comes the important point, the power of self-connection. To cultivate robust mental health, we must first learn to connect with ourselves. This involves mindful introspection and understanding the profound impact of our own thoughts. Engage in regular, these are, okay, I will first take this point. This involves mindful introspection and understanding the profound impact of our thoughts. Be it corporate situation or be it house situations, relationship, anything, we have to know why we think the way we think. Because what signals we give to our brain is the head. The signals, the thought patterns that we meditate on, that we give to our brain is going to tell all the organs and cells to behave the same. He's going to follow the order. Whose order? Your own order. So, everybody here, I would like to point one thing that you have to have ownership of your own health. You can't just blame situations and people around you. You have to honor your own health, take charge. Why you eat, why you drink, why you are thinking the way you're thinking. For every reason, you should know, you have to dissect your own self and know who am I and why is this. So, yeah, so when you have that interconnectedness, you know you are confident of why you're doing. When you're confident, your self love improves. Your self love improves, you will know and you will address all the four health emotional, mental, social, and then it goes to physical. All will take, these are the four pillars of holistic health. So it will fall into place. So for that, how when these are the steps how we can connect within self, like engage in regular meditation practice, consciously address your strength and weaknesses. You have to be very open and frank with your own self. You can't cheat yourself. You can't ignore your weaknesses. Nobody is perfect. So when you know your own strength and weaknesses, you know you will have better health. Cultivate present moment awareness. Yes, in most of the cases I've seen when healing people or when counseling them, when cases come to me, I've seen that most of the time my clients, they either stay in the past or future, but I've never seen them in present. So they, I have so many regrets. There is so many, what I can say, those drowning emotions not well addressed, the traumas they have, the life experiences basically. So they are still stuck. They, those experiences maybe were there in say 5 years back, 10 years back, but they still live up to those experiences and not leave that. So what do you think the energy within the body would say? What, it's a still energy because you have been meditating on something which is not so good and which is within your body, and now it's getting stale and stale. So what do you think would be that effect on your organs? It will not have so good effect on your organs. So that awareness is very important. If I'm having something like say so low self-esteem or low confidence and I'm constantly addressing that and I'm staying in that experience, don't you think these all experiences will have some effect on your body, mind and soul? It will. So mental health, so emotional health. If you want, then only you will get a good physical health. Next. Yeah, so here I'll repeat myself of telling you all that know thyself. Key to good mental, emotional, social, and physical health. The foundation of mental well-being. Knowing yourself is beginning of all wisdom. Aristotle. I'll repeat myself. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Aristotle. How well you truly know yourself. Taking responsibility of your own mental health begins with a deep self awareness. It's crucial to understand your own mind, your own thought patterns, and the triggers that influence your emotional state. It's not that today I'll tell you and tomorrow you will get a good mental health, but you have to be true to yourself, list down all the weaknesses, all your strength, all your thought patterns, and does that trigger you? If it triggers you, what can I do? Why it triggers me? What is that so not good? And every time that situation comes, it's triggering me because, friends, these situations, if we continue to have more in our life, say 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, of course, people will be diagnosed with some or the other illnesses and sicknesses. When we are born, we are healthy. When we are in our teens, we are healthy. What happens once we are adults? It's all mental and it's all emotional. So understand your reactions versus your thoughtful responses. This is very important, friends. Understanding life situations, be it in any situation, we have to be very mindful and we have to understand, is my reaction you're required or I can just respond? And in life, there are situations where there is nothing is required, no response and no reactions. With every reaction, there is a chemical reaction inside. So we have to be very careful and we have to be aware of and we have to be mindfully setting ourselves not to react but to respond. Very important. Upgrade your energy levels by understanding your internal rhythms. As we grow from child to an adult, and then now we are a professional, we are doing something, we are doctors, lawyers, CAs, we have upgrade ourselves. We should upgrade our health, our understanding, and our vibrations, our energy levels also. We can't deplete. We have best of we eat best of fruits, we have best of food. What happens having best of everything? Physically we live in a good environment, emotionally when we are healthy with people around us, we eat good food, still why diseases? Why we not think that we should think that we eat so healthy food, we do everything which is best, still we are ill? Why? We need to give thoughts. That is because we don't understand, uh, uh, rather not understand, we don't upgrade our energy levels, we don't upgrade our vibrations. What are upgrading vibrations means? What we have to elevate ourselves, what we were when we were 20 and what we are when we are 40. We have to grow as human beings, we have to grow as a person, we have to grow as an emotional quotient and emotional intelligent people. We have to grow each and every day, friends. Embrace continuous personal growth. Yes, this was my point. Just as technology evolves from basic Nokia to sophisticated iPhone, so also we should upgrade ourselves. With every upgradation of emotions, our health gets upgraded. Next, your body and intelligent ally. Yes. Once you understand yourself, you begin to grasp why you often react impulsively rather than responding thoughtfully. This journey of self discovery also reveals the incredible intelligence of your body. Here, I would like to say that God has made our body. Like, of course, it comes from our parents, but yeah, ultimately God. And our body is very intelligent. It has its own consciousness and it can heal itself. It has that potential to heal itself. And it's a very cosmic, five layered body and it a very intelligent like my point is that our body has its own consciousness, our organs have its own consciousness. We and it's very intelligent, it can heal itself. It's just that we need to connect. Clarity of thoughts often accompanies a lighter, more energetic physical body. Your body possesses an innate potential and consciousness knowing how to process and heal. It works for you endlessly, tirelessly, supporting your existence. So here, as I said earlier, that what you give command to your brain, like, oh, I'm this, oh, I can't do this enough, oh, or maybe it can be overconfidence also. So whatever you are meditating on, the brain processes that and it commands to all the cells within the body and all the organs to work likewise. So our body has its own consciousness. What you are feeding your brain is what you're feeding your organs and what you're feeding your body. So if you want to have good health, what you have to feed with? You have to feed with good thoughts, good emotions. So we only have to work on our own. And that will happen when we do self discovery, when we know why we do what we do. And likewise, next. I think there is something, yeah. I just want to read the last line of the last page. Recognizing your body instinct wisdom fosters a profound sense of gratitude. For instance, can you just uplift that page a little more? Traditional, I can't. Yeah, so you had to address this that our body is so intelligent that if, for example, we are undergoing stress or we are undergoing anger or we have a lot of anger within us, then these angers and these emotions are stored in certain organs of our body. Like anger, if we have anger issues, okay, likewise, if it is just come and going, it is fine. But if it stays, the intensity of that anger stays with us for 5 years, 10 years, then of course it's stored in liver. So there are certain organs. My point here is to address that there are certain emotions that are stored in specific organs. If it's revenge, then it's our kidneys. If it's grief, it's our lungs. So why should we have emotional health if we are not, if we will not focus and work about our emotional health? These emotions which are negative in nature will be stored within your organs. They store pancreas, all the organs, they store specific emotions. As I said, liver stores anger, grief in lungs, and likewise. uh, yeah, next. So I'll here would like to do a uh, should, short exercise, a moment of gratitude to our bodies because they work tirelessly for us and we have taken actually our bodies for granted. So let's take this moment to express profound gratitude for the incredible vessel that is our body. So please join me in this. Close your eyes. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Dear body, thank you for your strength. Thank you for your resilience and your unwavering support. Thank you for breathing, for circulating, and for healing. Thank you for allowing me to experience life, to feel, to move, and to just be. I honor you, I cherish you, and I promise to listen to you and take care of you always. Close your eyes, still continue. Feel gratitude towards all your organs, that they are working tirelessly and are always with you. Let's do a small meditation and healing. We can do this by even chanting any mantra that we do for our regular prayer. And we can take just 5 minutes and do it whenever we feel that we are not feeling good. I'll give a live example of Gayatri Mantra here. Om. 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 Om Bhurбhuvasvaः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्. Hari Om. The energy of this mantra is going within. It's going to my brain. It's healing my left brain, my right brain. This energy is healing from within. It's going to all my vital organs and each and every part of my body and cells. It's cleansing and energizing simultaneously, removing all the toxicity and disease energy from within. You can also concentrate on the specific part of your body which is paining now or which is not in so health, in a healthy, good condition. Just focus there and ask the energies of this vibrative mantra to go there and heal that part of your own body. Feel gratitude towards life, towards God, and everything around us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, we may open our eyes. This was just a short exercise of 5 minutes where we can just do a little self care. Yeah, next. Your mind is a sacred space. Yes. We often seek solace in sacred spaces like temples, yet our own mind can become temple too, and it's a temple. If we choose to fill them with positive thoughts and vibrations, it is a divine temple. And why we like to go to temple? Because it's pure. The energy, the vibrations over there are so nice. Why we like to eat fresh fruits and vegetables and not stale? Because of the energy, because of the vibration, because of the look. Likewise, also our mind, we should have it's a sacred place. So we should also have sacred emotions there. Negative thoughts can create heavy, undesirable energy within us. Cultivate your inner space to radiate powerful healing energy. Your energy directly impacts your thoughts, influencing your well being. Yeah, because see, when we have negative thoughts over a period of time, it's going to drain. It's going to drain everybody, right? It's going to drain you. What happens then? Your immunity goes down. It's draining your own energy is draining you. So these are the small pointers that I'm giving you and sharing of my experiences and a little bit of study and little bit of what I've learned throughout my journey of healing. Next. Yeah, a little bit about pranic healing. I'm practicing pranic healing since 13 years. And what is pranic healing? Pranic healing is an ancient science and art of healing that utilizes prana or life forces to heal the body. It works on the principle that body is capable to repair itself and has natural ability to heal itself. Yes, very right. I have myself experienced this. Connecting to mental health by cleansing and energizing the aura and chakras that we do in pranic healing, it helps us to remove negative thought forms, emotional blockages, promoting emotional stability and mental clarity. It can be used to elevate stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. Why mental health challenges? Because these mental health challenges don't have medicines, and no medicine can cure this. We have we have to become our own healers to cure this. And for that, what we shared right now, or what we talked about of connecting within and everything else follows. Achieve inner balance. Yes. This practice fosters a state of inner peace and balance, supporting mind's ability. Can you take the page? I can't read. Ability to cope up with our daily pressures and foster a more positive outlook on life. Yes, correct. Next. Certain steps for self care and mental resilience. Connect with yourself, engage in meditation, journaling, and mindful reflection to understand your inner world. How was your day? What things right you could have done, the things you could have done. Reflect. How could I do the same thing when it happens again the next time, even more better? Challenge yourself. Practice gratitude. Integrate gratitude prayer and appreciate for your body and life into your daily routine. Positive self talk. Pamper yourself with affirming internal dialogues, fostering a nurturing self care relationship. And God only helps those who help themselves. So start loving you, yourself, and your body. That's the first thing to do. Live mindfully, focus on the present moment, giving 100% to each of your roles. Yes, here we all are women. We have a lot of roles as a mother, as a daughter, as a wife. We have to try and give 100% to each and every role that we play in our life. Not doing one role properly will affect your mental health. With first, it will affect your emotional health, then mental, then social, and it will come to physical. This is mostly the way we, don't take care. So we have to be very mindful here. And as I already said, that we have to connect within and know and give 100% to each of your own roles, and you'll be sorted. You will help yourself. Next. Yeah. Lastly, I would say that you all are corporate women here, and often life will throw challenges of work-life balance also. And there is a lot of politics, competitions around you all. But always have this focus rather than competing with people, compete with yourself. If you want, things will happen the way it will happen. And if you have done your best, things will happen the way it will happen. Focus on yourself, compete with yourself, challenge yourself, not people and product. Focus on personal growth rather than comparison with others. Simplify your life to enhance mental well being. Cultivate these habits, and this will cultivate this habit, simplify life, and foster robust mental health. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope I'm able to speak. This is the first time speaking, and so I was a little nervous also. I hope I've tried to jot down the pointers that could help you to achieve a good holistic health. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, Kinnari ma'am, thank you very much for sharing this wonderful session to every one of us who have participated in this. And yes, this is the mental health is very important nowadays. We are generally looking at our physical, social things and just forgetting our mental peace. Yeah, that is very crucial for our overall health. And you have also practiced some small activity of meditation that was also very useful to us, and just it is feels like relaxing and free from our busy schedule and just relaxing. Yeah, thank you very much, Kinari Cheda ma'am. Thank
It's
you,
my,
WYMC team.
it's my honor and pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
हेलो. हाँ, मेरा सेशन तो हो गया. Any questions? Anybody has any questions?
I need to check.
No, actually, no questions for the second session.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
We can end the session then.